Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. The 1-cent coin of the United States, minted in 1976, holds a place within the long and fascinating history of American coinage. While not a commemorative coin like the Bicentennial designs issued for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar, the 1976 1-cent piece remains an important part of the nation's circulating currency and reflects the enduring legacy of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln cent itself had already been in production for more than 6 decades by 1976, and the coin continued to symbolize Abraham Lincoln's legacy while also playing a vital role in everyday commerce. Collectors and historians often pay close attention to coins from significant years such as 1976, given that it was the year of the United States bicentennial, marking 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Even though the penny did not receive a special design for the occasion, the coins produced that year are still tied to that era of celebration and hold cultural meaning. The obverse of the 1976 1-cent coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Brenner's portrait had become one of the most enduring images on U.S. coinage, and by 1976 it had already been in use for 67 years. The design depicts Lincoln facing to the right, with careful attention to detail in the facial features and hair. Above Lincoln's head appears the motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that had been added to American coins beginning in the 19th century and became standard on the cent with the Lincoln design. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word "liberty," representing the core value upon which the nation was founded. The date, 1976, is placed to the right of Lincoln's bust, and depending on the mint where the coin was struck, a mint mark may also appear just below the date. Coins minted in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while those from Denver bear a small D, and those from San Francisco carry an S if they were proof strikes. The reverse design of the 1976 1-cent coin continued to feature the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This reverse was created by Frank Gasparo and replaced the earlier wheat ears design. The Lincoln Memorial reverse remained in use from 1959 until 2008, making it one of the longest-lasting reverse designs in cent history. On the 1976 coin, the memorial appears centered, with the words "United States of America" arched above it and the denomination 1 cent positioned below. Between the memorial and the upper inscription appears the motto "E pluribus unum," meaning "out of many, one." The design is notable because with careful magnification, the tiny figure of Lincoln seated in the memorial can be seen, making the coin one of the few to feature a president on both sides simultaneously. In terms of composition, the 1976 1-cent coin was struck primarily in a bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. This composition had been in use for most Lincoln cents since 1909, except during the wartime years of 1943 when the penny was made of zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for the war effort. The bronze alloy provided durability and gave the coins their familiar reddish-brown color when freshly struck. Over time, exposure to the environment caused many coins to tone to darker shades of brown, with variations depending on circulation, storage, and handling. For collectors, the presence of original mint red luster on a 1976 cent is highly desirable, and coins graded as red, RD, often command higher prices than their red-brown, RB, or brown, BN counterparts. The mintage of 1976 cents was significant, as the penny remained an essential denomination in everyday transactions. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of pieces without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint also struck a vast number of cents marked with the D. In addition to these, the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins with the S mint mark, intended for collectors. Proof coins were struck with specially prepared dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like finish and sharp details that distinguish them from regular circulation strikes. These proof coins are particularly valued by collectors assembling proof sets or type collections. Varieties and errors from the 1976 cent add further interest for numismatists. While no major double die varieties as famous as those of 1955 or 1969s are associated with the year, minor doubling and other die varieties exist and are pursued by specialists. Collectors also search for off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and other mint errors from 1976, which can significantly increase the value of an otherwise common cent. For example, an off-center strike showing 50% of the design missing but with a full date visible can be highly collectible. Similarly, coins struck on improper planchets, such as a foreign coin blank, can result in rare and desirable error pieces. The value of a 1976 cent depends heavily on its condition, rarity, and any special attributes. Circulated coins are generally worth face value, given the huge numbers minted, but uncirculated examples can command higher prices, especially in higher mint state grades. Coins graded MS65 or higher with full red luster can attract strong interest from collectors seeking to assemble high-quality Lincoln Memorial cent sets. Proof coins from San Francisco, particularly those with deep cameo contrast, also carry premiums. While most 1976 cents are common, the challenge lies in finding well-preserved examples with attractive surfaces, free of spotting, staining, or heavy marks. The cultural significance of the 1976 penny lies in its association with the Bicentennial era. Although it did not receive a special reverse like other denominations, the penny was still present in the pockets and daily lives of Americans during a period of great national pride and historical reflection. Millions of people used these coins during the celebrations, and as such, they remain artifacts of that historic year. Some individuals even saved rolls or bags of 1976 cents as souvenirs, believing they might one day increase in value due to the bicentennial connection. While the sheer quantity minted has prevented most from becoming rare, these coins still evoke nostalgia and historical memory. For collectors assembling complete date and mint mark sets of Lincoln cents, the 1976 issue is a straightforward but essential piece. Its availability makes it accessible to beginners, while high-grade certified examples provide a challenge for advanced collectors. The coin represents continuity in the Lincoln cent series, bridging the period between the early memorial reverses of the 1960s and the later changes that would eventually come with the Lincoln Bicentennial coins of 2009. It also reflects the United States Mint's focus in 1976 on producing circulating coinage alongside special commemorative designs for the quarter, half, and dollar. The fact that the cent retained its standard design highlights its role as a workhorse denomination rather than a commemorative showpiece. The year 1976 was one of the most significant in American history because it marked the bicentennial of the United States, 200 years since the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. The United States Mint played a major role in commemorating the occasion by issuing special reverse designs for the quarter dollar, half dollar, and dollar coins, each dated 1776 to 1976. These designs became some of the most iconic circulating commemoratives in U.S. history, and millions of Americans either collected or set aside these coins as keepsakes. However, the 1-cent coin was not included in this bicentennial redesign program. Instead, the penny retained its usual Lincoln Memorial reverse throughout 1976. While some casual observers might wonder why the cent was excluded, the decision was likely practical. The penny was the most widely used denomination in commerce, and changing its design might have disrupted the supply at a time when billions of cents were required for circulation. Furthermore, the Mint may have felt that Lincoln himself was such a central historical figure that his coin already carried patriotic and commemorative weight, even without a special bicentennial motif. Thus, the 1976 cent embodies both continuity and tradition, linking everyday commerce to the broader context of the bicentennial celebrations. In terms of mintage figures, the production of 1976 cents was extremely high, reflecting the continued demand for small denomination coinage. At the Philadelphia Mint, more than 4.6 billion coins were struck, making it one of the largest mintages in the Lincoln Memorial series. The Denver Mint produced over 4.2 billion pieces with the D Mint mark. Combined, these two facilities alone struck nearly 9 billion pennies in 1976, a staggering number that ensured the coins would remain common in circulation for decades. At the San Francisco Mint, about 4 million proof cents were struck with the S Mint mark packaged in proof sets for collectors. These proof coins were made with great care, using polished planchets and specially prepared dies, and they often exhibit a strong cameo or deep cameo contrast between the frosted design and the mirrored fields. Such massive production figures help explain why the 1976 cent is not rare today. Circulated examples are still encountered regularly, although many have become worn, corroded, or discolored after nearly 50 years in circulation. The sheer abundance of these coins makes them easily obtainable for new collectors, yet specialists still seek out high-grade survivors. A cent from 1976 that retains its original fiery red luster and shows no signs of spotting or damage can be surprisingly difficult to locate, particularly in grades MS67 and above. Certification services such as PCGS and NGC have graded thousands of 1976 cents, but only a small percentage reach the highest designations. Coins with exceptional eye appeal, smooth fields, and strong strikes are considered condition rarities, commanding values far above face value despite the high mintage. The grading of Lincoln cents from this era follows established numismatic standards. Circulated coins are classified using terms such as good, G, very good VG, fine F, very fine VF, extremely fine XF, and about uncirculated AU. These coins typically show wear on Lincoln's hair, jaw, and coat, as well as on the columns and steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Uncirculated coins are graded on the mint state, MS, scale from 60 to 70, with MS 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin. For 1976 cents, most uncirculated examples fall in the MS 63 to MS 65 range, often showing minor contact marks from mass production. Coins graded MS 66 and higher are less common, while those at MS 67 or above are genuinely scarce and often sell for significant premiums at auction. Proof coins are graded separately, with designations such as Proof 65, PR 65, or Proof 70, PR 70. Proofs may also receive cameo or deep cameo labels, reflecting the degree of contrast between frosted design elements and reflective fields. Collectors often pay attention to the color designation assigned to copper coins. Because copper is highly reactive, cents naturally change color over time, moving from bright red to reddish brown and eventually to dark brown. Grading services classify Lincoln cents as red, RD, red-brown, RB, or brown, BN. A 1976 cent that retains at least 95% of its original red luster will be labeled red, and is generally worth more than equivalent coins in red-brown or brown. This distinction makes storage important. Coins kept in protective holders or albums are more likely to maintain their original color than those left exposed to humidity, heat, or contamination. Beyond grading, the market value of 1976 cents depends on demand among collectors. Common circulated examples usually trade for only a cent, as their massive supply prevents scarcity from driving value. Uncirculated coins in MS65 red might be worth a few dollars, while those at MS67 red can command prices in the hundreds. Proof coins from 1976 are more readily available, as millions were sold directly to collectors, but perfect PR 70 deep cameo examples are scarce and can sell for high premiums. Interestingly, while most bicentennial-related coins have significant collectible demand, the 1976 cent remains somewhat overlooked, making it an affordable way for new collectors to own a coin tied to the nation's 200th birthday. The role of the cent in the economy during the 1970s is another important part of the coin's story. By 1976, inflation was beginning to erode the purchasing power of the penny, and debates about the usefulness of the denomination were already starting. Despite this, billions were minted each year to satisfy the needs of commerce. Cents were widely used in vending machines, retail transactions, and for making exact change, and the public continued to rely on them out of habit. The cost of producing the cent was still below its face value in 1976, as copper prices had not yet surged to levels that would cause production costs to exceed 1 cent. However, the rising price of copper in the late 1970s and early 1980s eventually led the mint to change the composition of the cent in 1982 from a mostly copper alloy to a primarily zinc core with a thin copper coating. Thus, the 1976 cent belongs to the final decade of true copper pennies, a fact that adds to its numismatic interest. Error coins from 1976 provide another area of fascination for collectors. Off-center strikes are among the most dramatic errors, with some coins showing Lincoln's portrait shifted significantly away from its normal position. Double strikes, in which the coin receives two impressions from the dies, also exist and can create unusual overlapping images. Die cracks and die breaks were not uncommon on coins struck in such enormous numbers, and these can result in raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface. One of the most popular types of errors is the broad strike, where the collar that normally holds the coin in place fails, allowing the planchet to expand beyond its usual diameter. Such errors attract premiums far beyond face value, with collectors often willing to pay tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on the severity and visibility of the mistake. The international context of the 1976 penny also adds depth to its story. The United States was engaged in extensive bicentennial diplomacy, hosting events and cultural exchanges with nations around the world. Millions of tourists visited the U.S. during 1976, and many took home cents, nickels, dimes, quarters, and other coins as souvenirs of their trip. Pennies dated 1976 therefore found their way into pockets and collections overseas, serving as tiny ambassadors of American history. Today, it is not unusual for coin collectors in other countries to own examples of the 1976 cent, particularly those who focus on world coinage or bicentennial memorabilia. From a cultural and historical standpoint, the Lincoln cent also carried symbolism during 1976. Abraham Lincoln represented unity, freedom, and the endurance of the nation, themes that resonated strongly during the bicentennial. While other denominations celebrated independence with colonial-era imagery, the cent reminded Americans of the sacrifices made during the Civil War and the continued struggle to uphold liberty and equality. Its presence in the hands of ordinary citizens during parades, fireworks displays, and historical reenactments of 1976 tied the smallest unit of currency to the grandest themes of national identity.